Mr. President, you're world famous as the author of quite a number of short statements in recent months. What made you choose this style in international politics, and do you find it effective?
I never, there was not an ambition. I never desired to be an international figure. I just have wanted to be just a mayor here, but fate somehow changed the course of my life. Now, foreign policy. Fundamentally, the foreign policy of the Philippines follows the foreign policy of the United States. Why? Well, we were occupied by Spain and made a colony for 400 years. Then when the Spaniards lost the Philippine-American War, one of the concessions that was asked of the Spaniards were to concede the real estate in the Pacific, and that would include Guam. That's why they have the Spaniard name, and the Philippines, very similar, only a name, because they were occupied also by the Spaniards. But we were ceded to the Americans, and they occupied my country for 50 years. Finally, we had our independence after a bloody revolution, and after several massacres, somewhere in Samar, it's in the Visayas, a high-ranking American official was killed. So they massacred the whole town. 10 and above were all put to death. And they got the bell of the church, the bell, right? As known as Balinginga bell. It's still in their hands, and we're asking for it, even as a sentimental memory for those guys who were massacred. And these were the things that they just, I said, didn't even bother to apologize.
But at the same time, America helped the Philippines gain its independence in 1946 after Japan's occupation got away. So do you think, in a way, you should be grateful to them, or do you think that the West is using their allies?
Well, if you're an American in front of me, I would say now to you, you want me to thank you for occupying my country? I say, you lived on the fat of the land for 50 years. You gave us our independence. Well, I'm sorry. If the previous presidents would just kowtow and follow what American says, not me. Not me, because I know my history and I still have this hurt.
Was that hurt what made you call President Obama what you called him?
You must be respectful. Do not just throw away questions and statements. Urahin kita dyan sa forum na yan. I do not like to be ordered. But you know, even in the matter of the purchase of arms, there was this, we were negotiating until a few days. And one senator stood up and said that the Philippines has a record of human rights violation. We will suspend the arms. Go, good. Mako, I have friends already. Good friends. I've made, you know, we were far from a distance with China because of the, so many issues. But one is the South China Sea. Well, we were really, so I decided to just visit the ASEAN countries, of which we are a member, and just introduce myself. The new kid in the corner, you know, I'm President Duterte. And finally, I reached the shores of China, and we had a very good talk. And, you know, President Xi Jinping is really a great guy. And little did I realized that somehow we have missed our chances in our history. We never talked about a military alliance. And I had a talk in that meeting in Laos for the ASEAN. I personally requested to talk to the Prime Minister of Russia, Medvedev. So I told him my problem. And I said, you know, I am not asking for anything. we can survive with nothing. But I just want you to know that I want to be closer to you and China because I do not like what is happening to us. You know, every time, and even before, every time the United States criticizes us or reprimands us, they'd always connect it with a connective sentence that if you do not do this, if you do not do that, or if you do this and we do not like it, we will cut the assistance. Every time, several past presidents. Do you know that America is not a signatory of the International Criminal Court? And here is a guy threatening me with prosecution. Excuse me. You must be crazy, you know. Then you say extrajudicial killing. What is that word? That is a word of the criminal justice system being adopted by the Human Rights Commission. So, if you're not a member, what's your business in mentioning those words? You couldn't even define the term for us because you are not a member, and here you are threatening me. And I said, go ahead. It is never a crime to protect a race. It's a self-preservation thing. And you trivialize it with the prosecution and mentioning about the cutting of the assistance that we get.
So clearly you're leaning closer to an alliance
Yes.
more towards China and Russia rather than the US.
As of now, I said we didn't have the opportunity to meet again. Even in Peru, we were there. I don't know who was avoiding who, but I just had my time there waiting for the conference to begin. But I made friends, and you know, I have noticed that, but I might offend him, but tell him no. I've noticed that President Putin, he seldom smiles. He doesn't smile too much. You know, but when we were together, and during the last day where he saw me, he went out of his way to shake hands with me. I said, "Mr. President, how are you?" I said, "Fine." I thought that we were seated. So when I went to my place, I found out that on my right side was the president of New Papua Guinea, and on my left side was the president. So I greeted him again, President Putin. How are you? And there you are. So we shook hands again. And when the conference ended, as we stood up, I said, I have to go ahead, Mr. President. Then somebody was, I think it was my Prime Minister to do, and he tapped me on the shoulder. So I had to talk to, and he was also talking to some other leaders. But again, when I was ready to go out, I just said to him, Mr. President, I'll go ahead. And then he smiled again and shook my hands. He said, I will wait for you in Korea, in Russia. Yes, of course, but not now because I cannot stand cold. Sabi niya, in all of our talks, I never said that I want this, I want that. I just also told President Putin that, you know, I just want to be friends, to show to the world that I am not limited to a few countries, that I have to interact with the rest of the world because we are a sovereign state. And we have to do business and to have diplomatic relations with everybody. And if there is good to it, then I thank God.
Well, since you mentioned business and cooperation, can I just find out what the status on the Defense Cooperation Agreement is between the Philippines and Russia right now?
I am not ready for military alliances because we have a treaty that was signed in the 50s. But I am ready to cooperate with my new friends, China and Russia. to make this world more peaceful. U.S. decided to cancel the procurement of weapons. And I said, I have a friend who has plenty. As a matter of fact, he's selling it, buy one, take one. So I don't need you.
But polls in your country show that most of your citizens support an alliance with the U.S.
Yes.
Still, so how are you planning to?
Well, because having been a colony for 50 years, it should not surprise you. It's ingrained in the genealogy of the Filipinos. But little by little, I've been telling them, I made this decision because, but I think the Filipinos know the reason in their heart why. Because I have been very vocal and used the strongest terms when I said we are not a nation of beggars. We will survive without your assistance. Please stop it. If you want to prosecute me, fine. Come up with the evidence. But I will not allow the rapporteur of the UN to face me and ask me questions as if I am a criminal. It would be on TV. Maybe I can invite you again as one of the resource persons. I can invite everybody. And I will tell the rapporteur, do not ask questions on me only. I will ask you also. Do not interfere in the affairs of my country, internal affairs. We have a serious problem of 4 million drug addicts. We computed it, I would need about 2 trillion. We will never have that money in our lifetime. And yet I have this problem. And here you are complaining about the deaths of 3,000. You do not even know who were killed, especially the people with plastic tape run around the body. If you are a policeman, why would you do that? Why waste your time rapping? Why don't you just simply shoot the idiot and just tell them that you fought against me?
If I can go back to the U.S. For the last one, you appeared to soften your criticism when it comes to the U.S. after the U.S. presidential elections, after it became clear that Donald Trump would be the next president. Do you think that you could be friends with Donald Trump and maybe your relationship would change?
Well, I'm not at liberty to make it public, but there are feelers now, even retired generals, and they wrote me a long letter, and the last sentence is that there is no doubt in our minds that we can be great friends again and reset the whole thing. That was my sloganeering when I was campaigning. Change. I promise no corruption, and it will happen. There will be no corruption in my government. Then I said, I will put an end to drugs because it has compromised the next generation of people, the young ones who are hooked into drugs. The third is that I will have to stop criminality so that people can come here and visit. In Davao City, you can go anywhere at this hour. Nobody would bother you. And my standard of, I told the police when I became mayor many years ago, I want you to ask your wife and daughter to walk the streets of Davao until morning time. If nothing happens to them, that is the standard that I want for Davao City. And I forced the issue. And I told the criminals again, in the city, and that was why they want to be prosecuted. You criminals, drug addict, get out of my city. Do not destroy my country because I will kill you. And to the other guys, I said, do not, destroy because drugs was already flooding. But I kept my high profile against drugs. And the first to grow exponentially in the years in between was Davao City. We had a domestic, a local. At one time, we hit it at something like 9, which is really very, very high. That is why you have a city that is clean, no criminals, drugs, if at all, because really the boundaries are porous. And you cannot just stop anybody from entering the city because this is not a fascist state. But you have to consider to the citizens. But for as long as I am president, to the very last day, I want the last drug pusher out, and I want the drug lords killed. So I prefer that they fight the police. But of course, I said, if they do not want any fight, you just can't say, shoot them right there. What's the point? Why invite trouble and invite cases? It's only when they fight it out with the police. But you can always shoot them if they fight, put up a violent one, threatening, placing your life in jeopardy. But I never said do it purposely, like a vigilante, tie their backs, ask him to kneel down and kill him. That's crazy. You cannot, that's a gangster style. You cannot be president of your country if you do that.